So we're going to make some Marmite and cheese scrolls or whirls, right? And so obviously you're going to need your Marmite. You want now this is all in cups. It was just, there's not that many ingredients. It wasn't worth converting. I've got a cup of grated. Actually, this is finely chopped because I could only buy it in, you know, like sheets, if you like, of Edam cheese. So a cup of that. I've got a cup of unsweetened Greek yogurt. I've got a cup and 3/4 of self-raising flour. I've got 3 Weetabix, and I was brought up on Weetabix as well. Love these things. So I've already had some breakfast. So there's 3 there. We're going to crushing them up, and then you want 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Sorry, a tablespoon of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of water, and that's essentially it. You need to put your oven on. I've got some lime baking trays. The oven's gone on at 190, and here we are in the middle of another heat wave in England. And again, once by the time you see this video, it will probably be getting on for winter, but it's baking hot and I'm drinking hot coffee because I'm an idiot. So into this flour, I'm going to crush up these Weetabix. Okay, they're nice and dry, very easy to break up. Often when you open a packet, that's what they're like, isn't it? Just a load of crumbs. And we're just then going to combine, you know, give this a little bit of a mix together. Whoops, taking crumbs in my coffee. So we're just going to give that a little mix together, okay? So this is going to give it a nice sort of, I was going to say crunchiness, but by the time we've mixed in the wet ingredients, that'll have soaked up and it will go a bit soggy anyway. So we're then going to put our water and our oil into our yogurt, and I'm just going to attempt to mix that together. In that all goes in there, and we're just going to mix this together to make a nice dough. Now if it's too dry, you can just add a little drop of water and just keep adding that until you've got a dough that you can obviously form together, and we're then going to be rolling this out. So also you're going to need a little bit of flour to dust your surface and your rolling pin with. Now you notice that our cheese and Marmite scrolls haven't yet got any Marmite in, and that's because we're not going to put them into the pastry, into the dough. We're going to smear it thickly onto the dough itself. But this is where, obviously, if you're not a huge lover, I mean, I know there are people who like their Marmite, but they only just like a smidgen, you know, can't help it. There are some weird people in this world. Not as weird as the ones who don't like Marmite, you know, well, but what can I say? But this is why you can then add as much or as little of Marmite as you like. So rather than saying whack so much into the dough, what we're actually going to do is we're just going to spread it onto our dough. And this is where, if you love it, you can put a bit thicker, and if you don't love it, you can put it a bit thinner. Now, as it happens, my wife loves Marmite, so I'm going to do it quite thick because we both love it. If she didn't love it, I'd just eat them all, and if she just liked it thin, I'd still do it thick so she didn't eat any. So I think this is going to need just a smidgen of water, okay, although it is a little bit sticky on the inside, so I'm just going to knead it a bit more, and if necessary I'll add in a little bit of water before we turn it out to roll it out. I've turned that out, and what we're going to be wanting to do is roll a rectangle. Okay, we want it about twice as wide in length, if you like, as we do wide. You can see that the added Weetabix has made this almost like really coarse wholemeal dough. Now it's obviously a little bit tricky to get our nice straight edges, but we wanted where possible to try and certainly get the top and bottom of the long edges, if you like, as straight as possible, because we're going to be rolling it up like a Swiss roll. So I've trimmed it into a bit more of a neater right rectangle, and I'll re-roll the sort of trimmings and we'll just sort of go from there. So what you're going to now do is you're now going to take your Marmite and you're going to smear it. Like I say, this is up to you how thick you want to do your Marmite, but you don't want to go all the way up to the top long edge, okay, because we need to leave about 2 centimetres to seal, the scrolls up once we've done them. So I'm just going to add a little bit more along that top edge, get it down to the bottom, and then we'll be ready to add the cheese. So now we take our cheese and basically we're going to sprinkle this over the Marmite. Now obviously I'm going to leave a little bit of cheese because I've still got my finger in the Marmite now. I've still got a little bit of pastry to roll out, so I'm going to need a bit more cheese for that. Spread that a little bit up there. And now what we're going to do is we're now going to take this bottom edge, just looking if I've got a spatula there, and we're now going to start rolling this up. So once you've got that first fold, if you like, done, it then gets a little bit easier. And then when we get to that final little bit, all I'm going to do is now just brush a little bit of water along that so I can seal it up. Press that down lightly, and now what we're going to do is we're going to chop this up into 12 and place them onto our prepared baking sheet. You can see I've got 12 cut and I've laid them down, so cut side down, cut side up, and they're now going to go into that oven 190 for about 18 to 20 minutes until they've gone nice and golden, at which point we're going to leave them out, then cool for a little bit, for about 5 minutes on the tray before we can remove them onto a wire rack to cool completely, although they will be better served warm. So I'm just going to get the rest of that roll, get the other sheet done, and then we'll get baking. Here they are, our finished Marmite and cheese, or cheese and Marmite scrolls, or whirls, whatever you want to call them. You do need to be careful when you take them out of the oven, because the cheese will run through the bottom, so does the Marmite, and can make a right mess if you're not careful, plus too bloody hot to eat. So some of these look a bit pale, but they were the second batch that I rolled, and they were a bit heavy on their flour, and so they just haven't really browned, that's all, but they are cooked through. So I've got one here where a lot of the inside run out through the bottom simply because it wasn't rolled that tight. Falling over. Shock of the Marmite. I think these would be nicer made with, say, puff pastry. Do everything else the same, but just use puff pastry. Perhaps not roll it too thin, because it's a little bit, they're a little bit heavier going. Ooh. They're a little bit heavier going because I think the nature of the dough. I think puff pastry would make it a bit more of a lighter snack. You wouldn't want many of these. These are very heavy on the Marmite, but that's because I wanted them that way. You probably wouldn't want to put as much Marmite on it if you don't like Marmite that much. You get the cheese, a lot of the cheese run out the bottom of this one. ends are running. It is what it is. A cheese, a Marmite pastry, if you like. Very nice.